Hey guys, what is up? Welcome back to T-Bone's Tender Moments. My last video I put out, guys, I covered the movie Easy Rider. And I told you guys in that video that there was a movie, if a chopper lover from the 60s loved the movie Easy Rider, then a biker from the 90s loves the movie Running Cool. This movie, guys, embodied everything that was going on in the 90s. It was made in 1993, and it starred a guy called Andrew Divoff. It had Michelle Pfeiffer's cousin. I think she was her cousin. Her name was Dee Dee Pfeiffer. It had Paul Gleason in the cast. Bubba Baker. He played a guy named Bear. And Bubba Baker did a lot of movies, but he was really known for this movie, Running Cool. It was made in 1993, and I'll tell you something, guys, this was just a movie that I love because, like I said, it embodied everything that was going on in the 90s. In the 90s, we were experiencing a change in culture. We were no longer the sit and do as you're told culture. We were changing as a society, and the entire country was changing because we were growing up, and we weren't the generation that was just going to sit there and let you tell us why not to do something. Show us why we're not supposed to do it. That's kind of where we were. But this movie stars, like I said, Andrew Divoff, and he plays a character named Bones. And Bones has an amazing backstory. But the storyline basically comes down to they go to North Carolina to help out a friend called Iron Butt, an old biker. And I didn't mention the motorcycles in the Easy Rider movie. And I didn't mention them not doing it on purpose. I did it on purpose. I didn't mention the bikes because I want you to watch the movie. But the two bikes in that movie, of course, was Captain America's tricked out American flag chopper, which was a panhead, I believe. Both of the bikes that were built for that movie were panheads based on police bikes. They were old police bikes. But anyway, this movie, Running Cool, just really had a storyline that I could connect with. It linked to me. Because what happens to these guys when they go to the South is kind of stereotypical about how the South felt about bikers in general. Even in the 90s, when I was riding my motorcycle around, it was still very much a taboo thing in the South. You were still looked down on. You were still a dirty old biker. And no matter who rode the motorcycle, no matter where you rode, if you rode up to a certain group of people, you were automatically a Hell's Angel just because you was on a motorcycle. I mean, that's how taboo it was. But the movie Running Cool, I can remember the first time I ever saw the movie. I didn't see it when it first came out. It was a couple of years after it came out before I seen it. But once I saw the movie, I fell in love with it right then there on the spot. Again, it's a movie that I own on DVD, and I watch it quite a bit. Love the bikes in it because you still got a lot of the old 80s bikes in it. Bikes like my Tour Glide are in that movie. But it's just really a fun movie. And what happens to these guys in their journey when they get to North Carolina to help their friend? They're trying to basically help him save his land. They meet a lot of bigotry, a lot of meanness, just people not really wanting them around. But this movie was made, it's an independent movie, and it was made by a couple down in Florida named Beverly and Ferd Sebastian. They're still very much active. If they're at the last point I had any knowledge about what was going on with those guys, they were doing big dog rescues. Beverly's an activist. She's very much involved in a lot of stuff. But this storyline in this movie, guys, if you watch it, it kind of makes you nostalgic because, like I said, I'm from the 90s. I adolesced and came into adulthood in the 90s, and we were there during all that change in the 90s. We had went from the pop country. We were leaning more toward now. We had Travis Tritt. We had, Mark Chestnut. A lot of different music and country. And the rock scene completely changed. In 1990, We were kind of done with the hair band heavy metal. We were moving on into what was called grunge. And of course, Nirvana, Kurt Cobain and Nirvana were spearheading that movement reluctantly. But we were in a big change. We were part of a big change that was taking place, and it wasn't just in the South. The whole attitude of the country was changing. Everything in popular culture changed. We went from television shows like, every night you watch A Wheel of Fortune, you watch Jeopardy and The Price is Right. Television changed because we had 90210, and Baywatch hit. When Baywatch hit, Baywatch took over. Another bike show, and I'll do a review on it later on down the road. A show that had Lorenzo Lamas in it called Renegade. Guy on his bike riding around doing the good deeds. It lasted 5 seasons. But getting back to Running Cool, this was one of those movies that, like I said again, I could identify. And I said it about Easy Rider, and I'll say the same thing about this movie. Even if you're not a biker, there is something in this movie for you. It's just a fun movie to watch. It makes you very nostalgic. They cover Florida, North Carolina, beautiful landscapes when they're riding, kind of like an Easy Rider as they're riding through the desert. There's beautiful landscapes to look at, the mountains of North Carolina. But they start out in Sturgis, South Dakota. But it takes you back. When you watch the movie, you go back and you remember what it was like then, because I was a young teenager then, and I remember what it was like. I was a kid during the 80s, and I remember being introduced to a lot of different stuff in the 80s, but in the 90s, I adolesced through my teenage years and became an adult in the 90s. So the 90s was very much my decade, my generation's decade. And I've said it before, I miss the 90s. I really do. I love the 90s. The culture, everything that we were about today is just totally different than what it was back then. But this movie, again, like I said, it was made by the Sebastian Group. I've never seen this movie on a shelf at Walmart or Target or anywhere like that for sale. I actually bought a new copy of it here a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years now. But I had to order it off of eBay. And I ordered a brand new copy. It works great. eBay and Amazon are the only two places I know of where you can get this movie. I'm not sure if any of the carriers like Hulu or Netflix or any of those, I'm not sure if they carry it. But it's really worth checking out. I know I probably shouldn't say this, but you might even be able to watch it on YouTube if you know how to search out the YouTube platform. You might even be able to watch it on YouTube. But give it a look. It's called Running Cool. It's not to be mixed up with Cool Runnings, which was another movie that came out in the 90s about the bobsled team. But this one's called Running Cool. It features music from Dire Straits. Dire Straits, if you don't know, they were the guys who did the songs Money for Nothing and The Sultans of Swing. Just a really cool song that starts out the movie. It's called Heavy Fuel. Give that a listen. You can listen to that song on YouTube. If you haven't heard that song before, it's a really cool song. Like I said, it's done by Dire Straits. But this movie really, really captured the motorcycle culture, but it also captured the attitude of America at the time. We were going through the change. And in the 90s, I'm sure in the early part of the 90s, especially where we live here in the South. I mean, in 1990, my hometown, the area I grew up in, Copper Hill, it had flooded. And in 1993, of course, we had the blizzard. And the older folks from the 70s and the 60s probably thought it was the apocalypse. I mean, so much stuff happened, just bam, 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 bam. Big ice storm in 94 into 95. There was just a lot of things going on, but this movie, Running Cool, really captures. If I was going to tell a millennial today or someone from this generation who wants to learn about the 90s, I would tell them as television shows, go back and watch Baywatch and 90210. But if you want to know about motorcycle culture, you got to watch the movie Running Cool. Because the choppers were pretty well much still there, but they were on the back burner now. You were seeing a lot more stock-looking bikes with wild-looking paint jobs on them, but they were built for comfort. They were built for the long ride. They still had struts. They had shocks. Gone were the days of the old-school chopper where you just sat on a rigid frame on a seat about that thick and beat your back into submission. But Running Cool was just a movie that, like I said, once you capture the culture of what was going on in the 90s, it makes me nostalgic when I watch it now. I still love to watch the movie. I have a good time watching it. I love the storyline, the characters, Bones and Bear. Kind of similar to Wyatt and Billy from Easy Rider, but you got Bones and Bear, and they're on a certain mission, and the brotherhood that they have is there, the camaraderie, the love of the motorcycle. It's all brought in this one movie. And guys, I really had hoped, and I've searched their database, Ferd Sebastian and Beverly Sebastian were very big in the motorcycle culture. They actually rode motorcycles. And there is a interview, of course it's on the DVD, you might be able to find it somewhere else, where they sat down and talked about making the movie Running Cool. And Beverly Sebastian said she was just completely blown away by how many people just wanted to be a part of it. Extra. No money, they were just the group that loved the culture. So they were willing to follow the production company around on their motorcycles and be in different shots. And that's just what it was all about. And to me, that's what it's still all about. So, my review of Running Cool is that's the movie you need to watch. Now, I want you guys to understand, I'm not going to get bound down just in motorcycle movies. Me and Regina doesn't discuss that. I'm going to do horror movies, newer movies, older movies, action, western, of course, motorcycle. I've got a whole list of movies that I want to do the reviews on, but I've also got other stuff that I'm going to do with T-Bone's Tender Moments. But I'm actually finding now that I've taken some of the weight off of my shoulders, I actually feel excited about making videos. I'm actually starting to keep my equipment with me. When something clicks and I've got the time, I can sit down and do a quick video. But guys, I ran my other video yesterday through on Facebook, and Facebook let me post it. They didn't give me a whole lot of grief. I'm probably going to run them through YouTube because I want to build my YouTube channel into something too. So when I run it through YouTube and I share it to Facebook, when you go to YouTube to watch this video, any of my other videos, hit the subscribe button and subscribe to my channel if you have a YouTube account. And if you will hit the notification bell and light that thing up, it will let you know as soon as I drop a new video, it will let you know. And I'm going to try to drop at least a couple a week. I'm not promising anything, but I'm going to try to drop at least a couple a week. I've got a way of editing them out now. As long as nothing breaks down and tears up on me, I should be able to. But guys, the movie is Running Cool. It was made in 1993, and I promise you, if you watch it and you're from my generation and you watch it, you're going to feel the nostalgia, you're going to feel the love, and you're going to want to watch the movie. So till the next time, subscribe, share, comment, drop down, check out some of my other videos. Keep leaving me comments. Jess, you left me a comment talking about doing a video on why I became a firefighter. And I have actually been thinking about that. I am going to do that video as to why I joined, a lot of you don't know, but some who know me know, I spent 18 years with the East Polk Fire and Rescue, so I will do a video about that. That'll be coming soon. Remember, hit the subscribe button, drop down, comment, like, let me know. Guys, have an awesome day. The sun's shining. It's going to be beautiful. Till the next time, this has been T-Bone's Tender Moments.